Attorney General route again. He's got Jeanine Pirro versus Alina Habba. Both terrible for the rule of law in our democracy, but certainly they are openly campaigning for it. There's even insider information that Jeanine Pirro threw Pam Bondi under the bus, frequently questioning her legal acumen or abilities. Which brings us back to Todd Blanche. This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack, hydration, and coffee sponsor. IQ Bar protein bars, IQ Mix hydration mixes, and IQ Joe mushroom coffees are the delicious low-sugar brain and body fuel you need to win your day. If you want to try everything, the Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great place to.
What you just watched is the kind of answer you give when the politics are bad and the facts are worse. Todd Blanche had one easy job there: say yes, she'll testify, or no, she won't. Instead, he ducked, stalled, and left the door wide open. And here's why that matters. Reuters confirmed that Trump fired Pam Bondi on April 2nd and installed Todd Blanche as acting attorney general. Reuters also confirmed that before she was fired, the House Oversight Committee had subpoenaed Bondi for a sworn April 14th deposition over the Justice Department's handling of the Epstein files. Now Dodge is arguing that because she no longer holds the office, that subpoena no longer applies. That is the real story. Not just whether Bondi is in trouble, it's whether public officials can dodge accountability the second the title disappears. And once you see the ethics complaint filed against her, this whole picture gets a lot darker.
For bringing a suit in bad faith in a civil context, screwed up the first E. Jean Carroll case for Donald Trump, where he lost. It was adjudged to be a sex abuser. And so on. Was also on the team, on the periphery at least, when Donald Trump lost a 19 felony count conviction against two of his companies for business record fraud and tax fraud, and also was on the periphery of the team that lost the 34 felony count case related to Stormy Daniels in the New York case in front of Judge Merchan. She also was the lawyer that lost, a lot of losses here, don't you see a pattern? Lost the $400 million plus civil fraud case brought by the New York Attorney General against Donald Trump, all of his family, and his companies for persistent fraud. And yet, she remains in Donald Trump's orbit. Oftentimes.
This is where the story stops being chatter and starts becoming a paper trail. Here's the verified part. Lawyers Defending American Democracy said on June 5, 2025, that it filed a 23-page ethics complaint against Pam Bondi in Florida, where she is licensed. The group says Bondi's first-day memo to Dodge employees put department lawyers in an impossible position: either follow directives tied to the administration's agenda or risk violating their own ethical duties. And that is not just rhetoric. Bondi's February 5, 2025 memo explicitly said Dodge lawyers could face discipline or termination if they refused to sign briefs, appear in court, or advance what the administration considered good faith arguments. Now add the contrast. Reuters reported in March that Bondi had already signed a draft rule that would let the Attorney General review misconduct allegations against current or former Dodge lawyers and ask state disciplinary authorities to suspend their investigations. So on one track, Dodge lawyers were being told to show loyalty. On the other track, the department was trying to slow outside ethics scrutiny. My interpretation is simple. That's the kind of structure you build when political obedience is being pushed harder than professional independence, and the consequence is bigger than Pam Bondi herself. If Justice Department lawyers believe their job is to protect a president first and legal ethics second, then the public stops having a justice system people can trust. That is why this is not just about one complaint. It's about whether the law still means the same thing once power changes hands, and that brings us to the next fight. Not just ethics, but sworn testimony, required style, one strong opening line, one factual grounding section, one interpretation section, one payoff line that leads to the next block. Put these documents side by side and the hypocrisy jumps off the screen. The complaint says Dodge lawyers were pressured into ethically dangerous territory. Bondi's own memo says lawyers who refused to go along could face discipline or termination, and Reuters reported that her Dodge was also pushing a rule that could delay state bar investigations into department lawyers. That's the pattern viewers need to see. Pressure downward on career attorneys, protection upward for leadership.
The Alina Habba to be attorney general, is that just to scare the crap out of everybody so that it'll soften us up for a more reasonable proposition? Maybe. Maybe, but I think Alina Habba definitely wants the job. She didn't fire her husband, move to near Mar-a-Lago to start a life as a debutante, running around with Donald Trump if she didn't want to stay in that orbit. And I think they all realize that once this gig is up, right? Once Donald Trump is out of office, their power and their luster all shrinks by comparison, right? Because they're all moons and they need a giant.
That line right there is the heart of it. A private briefing is politics. A sworn deposition is accountability. Here's the evidence. Reuters reported on March 17th that the House Oversight Committee subpoenaed Bondi for a closed-door deposition scheduled for April 14th to examine DOJ's handling of the Epstein files and compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Reuters then reported on April 8th that DOJ told Congress Bondi does not plan to appear, arguing that because she was subpoenaed in her formal role as Attorney General, the demand became invalid once Trump fired her. The committee, according to Reuters, said it would contact Bondi's personal lawyer to discuss next steps. So let's separate fact from opinion. The fact is, there was a bipartisan subpoena and an April 14th date. The fact is, DOJ is now trying to say the firing changed the legal picture. The opinion part, and I loan this clearly, is that this is exactly why the public is so cynical. Officials want the headlines that say they cooperated, but not the legal exposure that comes with answering under oath. And this is not just about one scandal or one file release. It's about a bigger pattern in Trump-era politics. Power first, process later. And when pressure hits, suddenly everybody discovers a technical escape hatch. What should ordinary Americans take from this? That titles come and go. The need for public answers does not. If someone was important enough to oversee controversial decisions at the Justice Department, then losing the office should not mean losing the questions. This is where the story gets sharper than the source video alone. The source clip is emotionally right about exposure, but the verified reporting makes it more precise. Bondi was fired. She was subpoenaed. DOJ is now arguing she doesn't have to show. And before all of that, her department was already trying to make state ethics investigations harder. So no, this is not some vague political backlash. It is a very specific chain of accountability fights over power, over process, and over whether the people at the top ever have to answer the same rules they impose on everybody else.
He's already on his second now, could be his third by the time this whole thing is over, or more. And it seems to be something that you wouldn't want this short term. I know we're in a gig economy. That doesn't sound like something you'd want to do. But these people, depending upon where they are in their own careers, I mean, Habba right now is out of a job. I mean, she has a made up, no work, no show job. She could use a little luster of being an attorney general, although I think it would be terrible for her and for Donald Trump. If what he's trying to accomplish is some sort of rehabilitation of the Department of Justice and him, especially about the Epstein files.
So what did we actually learn here? We learned that once the office is gone, the spin gets weaker. The source video shows that pressure building in real time. The verified record adds the backbone. Reuters confirmed Bondi was fired. Reuters confirmed the House subpoena and the April 14th deposition date. Reuters also confirmed DOJ is now saying she does not have to appear. And Eldad says a broad legal coalition already filed a detailed ethics complaint tied to how DOJ lawyers were treated under her leadership. That matters because accountability is not revenge. Accountability is what democracy looks like when public power has to answer to rules, records, and sworn testimony. And let me be plain about my opinion. Too much of American politics now runs on a poisonous formula. Demand absolute loyalty when you're in power, then hide behind technicalities when the questions come. People in this country are tired of that. They are tired of one set of rules for ordinary citizens and another set for politically connected insiders. The larger takeaway is not just about Pam Bondi. It is about whether we still expect truth under oath, ethical conduct in the Justice Department, and consequences when those standards are bent for political convenience. If you care about democracy, this is exactly the kind of story to watch closely because the damage never starts with one giant collapse. It starts when the public gets strained to accept the DOJ. Subscribe if you want this story covered with facts, clarity, and zero corporate sugarcoating. Final sentence. When the title disappears, the truth should get louder. If you want commentary that separates the verified facts from the spin, subscribe now. We're going to keep following every DOJ, every document, and every consequence.